Welcome to the Quantum Awakening podcast, where we invite you to embark on a profound exploration of conscious evolution, human transformation, DNA upgrades, and the harmonious fusion of science and spirituality. Guiding you through this enlightening journey are your dynamic hosts, Sharon Milne-Barber and Amanda Bowden. With their extensive knowledge and expertise, they will serve as your trusted leaders of knowledge. Sharon, with her deep spiritual insight and celestial race knowledge, will shed light on the mystical aspects of your existence. Meanwhile, Amanda will share her expertise around manifesting, mind-body-soul connections, and how science and psychology are intertwined with spirituality. Join us on a transformative journey to enhance your perspective and to bring you enlightenment.
Hello and welcome back, and today we're going to be chatting around science meets spirituality with Sharon Milne-Barber, hey, and me, Amanda Bowden. This science meets spirituality has all come about because we're transitioning into a quantum age, and Sharon's going to start off with a little bit because she knows the literal basics, building up from there, don't you?
Yeah, so I've written an article on science meets spirituality, which you can find on my blog. I'll give that at the end. And it's sort of just been triggered from our work with each other, with this quantum era. And it's really to do with, if you go way back in time to the 1600s when the quantum word did come about, connected with science, but going forward in time, the scientists discovered the quantum particle, and obviously a lot of stuff in their world came off the back of that. Really still not having an understanding of what they've discovered and dimensions and what they are. And in my research, which is in my A Journey Through Creation, I've written about a lot of this, is that they still don't really understand the connection between the science, the quantum domain, creative intelligence of the universe.
We just had cake.
Yeah, sugar load. And which some people understand as God, Christ, energy, love and light, knowledge, as how do you say it? As Aztec records.
Yeah.
Book of Life. All of this is all connected with the science and the spirituality side, so they don't have an understanding of that yet, and they're scrabbling around really trying to. But the spiritualism, the people that are on the spiritual path who have ascended now into the fourth and fifth understanding with this connection to the universe, is seeing it as it is and the truth. So once science emerges with spirituality, as in they have a greater understanding and start working together with us, there's going to be a massive awakening and change on Mother Earth, and the quantum era will really take off.
Well, that's what we're starting to see now, isn't it? Because, like, I don't know if you guys have noticed with yourselves, but like Sharon and I have realized that we're leveling up, and that like our mindsets are going into more like a quantum mindset, which literally means you're going into like more multi-transitional way of thinking and doing and acting, as in like there's not just one layer like we're used to in the 3D physical. There's different layers to one piece of information, and it could be coming in as a download, and it comes in and it could be triggered by a picture, sound, music, somebody coming in, and then it'll have layers of information within that, and it brings like light bulb moments, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I also feel with the science, our understanding, where we've managed to elevate ourselves through this quantum understanding in our work, is that we're sweeping away the indoctrination that's been in our 3D reality.
Yeah.
So we're now thinking out the box, and because we're now thinking out of the box and we're breaking away from the cycle of the 3D reality, we're now connecting with the quantum creative intelligence source, which is now giving us this new information to lead us forward in our work. And your spirology eye.
Yeah, but before we go into that, I was just going to say, like, within like many people that come across as under the neurodiverse umbrella, a lot of them generally don't realize that they are like elevated star people.
They won't know, will they?
No, and like the work that they bring through, like we do, is more evolved and maybe like 10 years ahead of where humanity currently is. But then that's because we've got the next wave of generations who are coming in, who are going to carry on what we do. And they're going to be on an even more elevated frequency than we are. And so we're kind of doing the building blocks ready for them to come in.
So John's turned up.
Oh,
He wasn't in the earlier podcast, was he?
No.
He just said to me, "Well, you eat." So this is what they do. My guide will come in and he'll talk to me while Amanda's talking. It drives me up the wall, but that's the way it is. And he's just said to me that some people do not know because they won't fulfill their potential if they do, because it will misalign them from what they're here to actually carry out in those moments of life. And then further down the line, they'll either will or they won't, depending on what their path is.
Depends on what they've chosen to do in their life.
So they will actually carry out this mission without, as you say, knowing they're an elevated star child. Never meet people like you and me that would tell them, never read about it, but they will carry their life out in that higher state because it's like a purer state for them to be in without thinking about anything, the ego or anything. It's literally, well, I'm here, I don't know why I'm. To them, it would be a normal life, even though it would be a more elevated life.
So they're working from the subconscious part of the mind, which is more automatic. Whereas
their higher self would be steering them through the...
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's interesting, isn't it?
Oh, thanks, John.
That's right. Thank you, John.
So yeah, that kind of leads me on to like spirology. So that is a concept or term that I coined back in 2019, which has slowly kind of been unfolded and taught and evolved through my universal support team of guides. That's what I just call them, because that's what they are. And as we've changed and evolved, so too is this. And like you're saying, this is going more towards, which I haven't written in my new book yet, so this is out of my hero's journey. So
when you say you're evolving then, so you've written that, and you might look at that in 6 years and it'd be old school to you, because in 6 years, so your next book is an elevation of that, and that's how my books have gone. They're an elevation of the previous book.
That makes sense. So it's like we're learning, but this is from last year, what I've written in this book right now. And then the new one that'll come out is literally with the added side of quantum, because that's what we're learning. So it's currently...
And my journey from quantum came from your spirology.
Did it?
Yeah, because I didn't understand what you were doing, I'll be honest. Because I was off in the fairyland, wasn't I, with my guides, writing all my books, and then one day they said, look at what Amanda's doing, and you started using the word quantum, and you said, I'm coming from the science point of view. And they said, well, you need to look into this, and then they sent me to another book to read. I read half the book and said, that's information you need, and now you're going to write an article about spirituality meets science. And if you asked me a year ago,
that's cool,
I wouldn't have had any understanding of it, and now look what's happened. So I got it all sitting here on here, and I wish I'd highlighted it now, so I don't know what I'm going to say.
Dude, we've swapped roles, have we? So that's where spirology's come from, and it's just like evolved into where it's going. I literally have left a blank page in my new book, Manifest 28, because there's still things that I need to add to it. But this is where so Spirology Hero's Journey was released last year, and this is where I was at that moment in time last year. And so like the concept and the ethos around it is, you'll understand it as like new earth energy. Or also like, actually, should I start with explaining what spirology is before I even go?
That'd be cool.
So like spirology is a combination of like spiro, so as in spiraling up, because that's ascension and leveling up. Literally. So, and the spiritual side of thing, and then the ology is literally what people chuck on the end as science. It's like psychology and stuff like that. So it's just spirology.
Yeah, it's
And
cool.
that's-
It's cool.
Yeah, that's where it
You
came
coined
from.
that, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so like the ethos behind like spirology and basically what New Earth is like for me at that point last year, honesty, trust, respect, love, which is huge because that's like one of the highest emotions that you can feel. Connection, which is really important for us as human beings.
Yeah.
Freedom.
That's why we don't function well isolated, do we?
Hell no.
No.
Compassion, because compassion, learning from Ember, is connected to the heart, and that's where your emotions are. And also your heart leads and is connected to your higher self as well, and your soul.
Yeah.
Acceptance, as in accepting who you are and then building on top of it and moving forwards. Integrity, I can't remember the whole meaning of that, but
So integrity is your standards, your values, and
yeah,
how you'd look at what you live by, really, and how you put yourself out there to other people.
yeah, like having a good standard of
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm going to have a good integrity, and you live to those values, and they
And your
can change as
intentions
you
are-
evolve.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then like cooperation I've put because that's important. And then as you build your relationships with people, different things like that, you learn how you can communicate better, which leads to better understanding, which brings everybody into a unity timeline. And then the last one I've got like nurture and thrive, which is definitely what we're doing and moving towards. So we're coming out of like survival mode and then learning how to nurture and thrive, and teach one another that. So it's more like going towards like the unity timeline of bringing people together and like high things like that. And then like this concept around spirology and what it encompasses. So it's literally like mind, body, soul connections. So that's like physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So you've got all the umbrellas under there because it's literally our well-being, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think you touched on, like meditation, mindfulness, and all of that is part of this science meets spirituality, because scientists are starting to realise that the brain changes when we go into these states of being.
Yeah.
So that's something that's going to come in the forefront in the future, working together with people to understand that they can detach, they can ethereal travel, they can do this, they can do that. It's just recognition of the journey, really.
Yeah, it's interesting.
They're quite antiquated, a lot of scientists, but there's elevated beings, humans who would have been elevated children, who are coming into the science side to be the forefront of this quantum era change.
And I can vouch for that.
Yeah. And it's not just doctors, scientists, it could be psychiatrists, anybody, hypnotherapists as well, qualified in those, got high qualifications, are actually starting to, through their work, realise there's something else happening.
Yeah, and then like you
act on it.
Yeah, like you said, like they don't have to be spiritually awake, I guess, and that they might have their purpose and come in as in a professional or something like that. Yeah. And then they'll be part of it anyway, but they might not know.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but they
don't need to know, because they're going to drop those changes in that somebody else is going to pick up on. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Down the road.
It's clever.
Yeah.
And they kind of come together, and then without maybe even knowing, like building your own community, like kind of the New Earth kind of way, where people don't fit in a box and they're like exploring new avenues of how things work. And like we was chatting about earlier, like you haven't got to have one or the other, because as you evolve and expand in like your conscious awareness and things like that, there's always 3 options or more. You haven't got to go with this or that. You can say yes and have more than 2 things.
Yeah,
like
what
a
sits right
combination.
with you at the time.
Yeah, what works for you.
So that's all come from the quantum creative intelligence. Again, our guides will help us with this elevation and bring in, because we don't have access to all the information in the universe. What they'll do is they'll bring forward bits that will help us with our earth path at this time. And then we have that element of small free will where we can choose. It might be that we've put in our path, say at the age of 50, to do something, and then we get to the age of 50 and there's been some other factors and we're not quite ready. So the idea could be there, but it's stalling, or they haven't quite given it to us yet because we're not ready for it. And so there's interchanging going on all the time. That's why our guides work with us.
Yeah.
Because they will drop in, like the word, they gave you that word, spirology, that was waiting. Like that was waiting for you. And then suddenly it came in, and it was at the moment where you would take it forward. But if they'd done it 4 years ago, you wouldn't have taken that forward.
No, because I would have been like, what the hell is this?
Exactly.
I don't know what this is.
So that's what I'm trying to explain.
Okay.
It's all waiting for us, and they help guide it in, as well as our ethereal self being connected to the quantum. If our 3D body is in a not such an elevated state as we are now, we just won't see it.
And that kind of leads us on nicely to like manifesting, which is part of the spirology concept, because we do manifest our own realities. Like what we perceive, we project out into our reality, and that is quantum. It's just people don't quite, or not everybody, but some don't quite understand that is what it is. Your thoughts turn into your reality. So whatever you're thinking about, like say, I don't know, for instance, you think, oh, well, so-and-so haven't rang me for ages, and then you're like, all of a sudden they're ringing you, like, what the hell? So you've manifested that because somewhere you've put the signal out from your brain and it's gone out into the universe.
Yeah.
And they've answered your call, literally.
I've had people contact me at times when I haven't been right and I haven't told anybody, and somebody will go, you okay?
Yeah.
And I go, yeah. Well, no, actually I'm not. And then you reel off. Or I've done it the same to other people. I've contacted them and they go, oh, you don't know how much I need to talk to someone. And then you have a chat and whatever. And we actually are telepathically linked. So.
I was just going to say, it kind of like the manifesting does go into like the telepathic side, really, doesn't it? It's like the starting practice of it, I guess. Because like your pineal gland acts as like the antennae, like a radio where you can tune into different frequencies and different things like that. And then your thoughts are energy plus the emotions that get pushed out. And then stuff that's already like within what you've planned already, like you've said, is there. But you just got to hit that checkpoint ready for it to come in and manifest and be ready, because it's already there.
When we say light codes and downloads, that's what we're talking about.
Ah, is there?
Yeah, we're talking about ignition of ideas or inspiration, like you said. Synchronicities. These are like downloads for us. And there's also the light. They call them light codes or downloads, or ancient codes. So ancient codes link back to your ethereal self way back in all your existence.
Yeah.
And there might be something in that past life or higher self you've been, or a guide, which is waiting to be re-triggered now, because it's going to help you on your journey. So when you come here with your soul plan, you're not just saying, oh, I'm going to be a mum at 30, I'm going to do this at 60, blah, blah, blah. Within all the layers of your life are these light codes and triggers which have been put on like a star map plan for you to come forward at times that are needed, but they're like in suspension waiting.
And
then plop, plop, plop.
Yeah, because then like some like more spiritual holistic side scientists would like say that it's within the DNA, because your DNA is not only inside the body, it's your cellular structure around you as well.
Yeah, and the ethereal body, which we obviously can't see, but some percent is an aura, is the quantum body linked to the quantum domain source.
Okay.
So the quantum body holds all, the ethereal body, or however you want to present it, holds all of your knowledge of all your existence, but your 3D body is connected with this. Your your physical 3D body cannot exist without the quantum energy.
Yeah.
Your higher self has got your plan with your soul sitting in
Yeah.
your heart space, as you said earlier. It's connected with the heart, and they actually call it the heart space. That has your plan, and your higher self is almost like, you know, these trolleys where you have a handle. Imagine yourself plonked in a trolley. The higher self's got the handle, and you're on like a bumpy road, and they're trying to steer you down this bumpy road from within, being a guiding light.
Yeah, 'cause for me, I was trying to figure out, because like when we learned how the heart was like the one that leads out of the heart, brain and gut brains, as I said to you in your workshop one day a couple of weeks ago, I was like, so right, you've got the soul that's within you, and then you've got your higher self. So I was like, right, so the inside is like your compass in your navigation, but then like your higher self is the one above you who's got
Steering
the bird's eye view.
Yeah.
Like you said.
They have the perspective of all of it. And the ethereal self is what I call the human essence, which is linked with the quantum domain energy. And that also holds, in fact, your ethereal self is your pure truth.
Okay.
Yeah. So when they say, find who you are, find your truth, it's all sitting there.
Yeah.
The soul is more, what we call it the soul. The soul's more of the map of the guidance system.
Like it's got a blueprint.
Yeah, so that's why we call it sat nav. Push it on.
Yeah, exactly.
See where it takes you, and if you get there and it goes right, and then you know when you're wrong on the sat nav because it keeps going, make a U-turn, and that's what your guides will do. Your higher self's going, make a U-turn, make a U-turn.
And sometimes it is like that. Look,
it's
like
that.
Like,
and we don't listen. We go, no, I'm going down that country lane.
or like when you don't, like I've experienced this and I'm not listening, and then they'll keep repeating something in my head. I'm like, oh my god, what is this thought repeating in my head? And I'm like, oh right, yeah, okay. Eventually I get it, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
exactly what it is.
It keeps repeating, and I'm
we
like,
call it intuition, gut feeling. Yeah. It's all linked. It's all linked with the science and that understanding of bringing the two together.
Yeah, and
so you were manifesting.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, going from that,
Yeah.
because like I've got a new like self-discovery in this book and around your authentic self, which is what you was talking about.
True self.
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
On the same wavelength. We just use different language, don't we?
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
By the way, weird is like the only word that we can use to like
we actually
something.
surprise ourselves sometimes that we're actually talking about the same thing, but we actually use so Amanda's language would be used for people that would be drawn to that type of understanding. I don't know what mine is. Mine's just random.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's just how you learn and speak and internalize things, and I just do it in a different way.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, guys, that when we work together, we learn off each other.
Oh, we're learning all the time, aren't we?
And then we bring in people of similar nature, and they start to like come together too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
No. But like where you were saying around more like the authentic self and like self-discovery and stuff, so like that's what I've put in this current book. What I've learned from now is that the self-discovery part, like you were saying, because it's awakening dormant things within us that are already there, is more like a reminder, really. You're just reminding people of who they are because they already know inside. You're just triggering that part of them within, which is kind of like the awakening part.
So that's that moment when we're born into the air. Everything who we truly are is there, but the 3D reality then blocks it, and your spiritual path is to search forward for it.
Yeah.
But some of you will have more awareness from an earlier age if you're elevated, and it can come at any time in your life, the awakening. And some of you might not have what we call light bulb moments because your purpose is as a supporter, a worker, whatever it is. Perhaps you're the mother of the next prodigy child. So we all have our own journeys.
Yeah, and our own way of learning and moving forwards, which is why, like, when I work with clients, even though the way I do things is good for me and it's come from experience, it's suggesting it. This is what I've learned, and finding out what works for them as well, and then building on top of that.
Yeah.
Because my way might be good for me and other people similar, but then it might also trigger things that they like doing and how they want to work with themselves, and then finding out more about themselves and who they are on the authentic self side, I guess.
We were having a conversation earlier, weren't we, where you experience an idea and you think you're going to do the idea.
Yeah.
Then you give the idea to someone else, thinking work together, which happened to us in two ways, isn't it? It's a bit weird the way it's happened. And then you see that other person take the idea and do it, and you think, oh, that was my idea. But then you got to step back and think, okay, there's a bigger picture here, which is what we're learning to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you realise that actually that idea which you managed to grab from the quantum creative intelligence your guys were floating over your head was actually not for you. You had to pass it on to that person because it was actually their destiny, and they tried to give it to them already and they hadn't taken it.
Yes.
So they get another opportunity.
And so, like, within that goes back to the cooperation part, because you're learning to understand one another. And also, like yesterday when I was sat in I can't remember what I was doing, and something popped up on my phone from the Spirology Hero's Journey, and I'd written around I can't remember what I called it, like contracts, the soul contracts that we made before we come here. So it's been part of that to trigger each other.
Yeah. We're a ripple effect.
Yeah.
That's how we're working.
To move each other in the right place. Now,
Yeah.
if you went into the counselling side of terminology, that would be called a TA, transitional analysis or transaction analysis. It's just different terms. Like you said, it's just different language. And then it's just learning around that, because language can be universal. It's just how you see things and put it out. And that's why we bring in different people. So even though that idea was, you know, yours to begin with, like you said, that other person then has got a different following to you, and they learn differently.
Yeah.
So even though they're doing the same thing, they'll bring in different people.
Yeah, it's learning to stand back and think, actually, they're not copying me, they're not doing whatever, because in the spirituality business you think that a lot, or in all businesses, and normal networking, you can see it, and it's just that understanding that actually there's a bigger picture out there. And that's what I think, that's what will happen when the science and spirituality actually merges, that there'll be a bigger understanding of all of these events in life, that because eventually we'll get to a ascended point where we won't be behaving like this. It'll be a natural flow of, we won't have an incarnated soul, we won't have so many guides because we'll be so elevated. It'll naturally be happening with this without being pushed along and guided.
Yeah, and that's like, I remember you explaining to me, I don't know when, ages ago, around like two timelines running together, and then the one's falling away and we're going into the new one.
That's what this quantum era is, yeah.
Yeah, so literally, this is what happens with like labelling as well. We need words to describe things, so we kind of segment them off first so we can understand and learn about it, but then they split off then. So like one goes into two, so it's called like bifurcation. And then from that, you'll have another lane, which is where we're going into now, which is the quantum unification timeline.
Oh, that's fancy.
That's just random and just come out.
Make a note of that.
Right, we coined that term, mate.
Yeah, put that in your book. That'll be in the next book.
Oh my God, talk about channeling and not even know when you're doing it. Yeah, so yeah, that's what's currently happening. So we're kind of going from the two chat lane into three, because there's literally more than three timelines running, but that's how we learn. And we have to do it over a period of time, because we can't just go slap bang from one thing to another, otherwise there'd be no soul growth or learning.
I'm going to take it back to science bit, if that's all right, with spirituality. because I have a story. So, a year and a half ago, I went to America for my niece's wedding. And I won't name the person, but he is a scientist, very, very intelligent man.
Okay.
In his late 60s, 70s, a relative in the family. And we were all meeting up for this wedding, and it was one of these nights we were having a few drinks like you do. And I got talking to him. In fact, there was a couple of us who got talking to him. And very intelligent man, and very logical. And I said to him what I do, and I started asking him questions. And I said, do you believe in this? Do you believe in that? Do you believe in life after death? Do you believe in celestial beings? I don't think I went on for half an hour. What do you believe in? And he just listened and observed.
Yeah.
And then he just said to me, what proof have you got?
What?
And he would not tolerate anything unless he can physically see it or touch it with his own eyes or hands. So that was then this is before all of this, before I got into all the quantum and science side of things, and I realized actually he's a very, very bright man, yet very limited. And this is what our soil scientists, but he's from the old school, very limited, narrow-minded thinking. And I've actually written them in my book, actually. And perhaps not those words, but yeah, very restricted way of thinking. That's what's limited humanity. That's what's limited us in a lot of ways of our technology. You know, you'd have thought if you'd landed on the moon in the 60s, we'd have been out of the solar system by now, and things like that. So we're quite limited in our, because you know, they don't believe dimensions to them are boxes drawn on a scientific way. They can't think out beyond their reality.
Yeah.
So the spirituality side is that we've learnt to elevate ourselves, to connect to celestial beings and communicate this knowledge. Now, if the scientists who have these really logical minds can hold that intelligence and have what we have, then they will have access to an amazing amount of knowledge which will elevate humanity, because the two will start to merge in. But when that happens, the world's going to be turned upside down, because religions will fall by the side. There'll be a massive understanding of we've lived our lives wrong for centuries in our understanding of what the universe is. But this is why it's a gradual process. So
yeah, because you're hitting on people's old beliefs, which causes cognitive dissonance.
Just like that. Yeah. Now there's going to be turmoil. Yeah, I've already found it in this last week or so, putting myself out more. I've had the, you know, God is the answer and all of this. I'm not arguing with anybody about religion. I'm just putting out what my guides are saying, and of course it's going to spark conversation and fear. But unless you put it out there, this level of understanding, this more of a science understanding with the spirituality, you're not going to change the world.
That's true.
And scientists are just starting to be more elevated, and the ones which the elevated star sees in the science shoes are coming forward now and starting to say, yes, we want to test the people in trance. We want to see what their minds are doing. We want to do this, we want to do that. You know, doctors and nurses
but they do that. We just see
energy leave bodies and stuff. They know there's something else, but they just don't understand what it is. Doesn't mean they're going to go to church and suddenly discover religion.
Do you know what? Like sometimes it feels like I'm a bloody scientist because of the way my head works. Because I'm towards like the Asperger's side of things, and you know, like neurodiversities, and that.
So your mind is what we need our scientists to be. So you've got the spiritual link and you've got the logical link.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to. The people I'm talking about, like this gentleman, he wasn't horrible. Don't get me wrong. He was really nice. Didn't talk to me for the rest of the evening, but that's fine. There's other people I could talk to. But you could just see he must have thought, oh, hang on a minute, I'll just go and get the straitjacket and lock you up. You know what I mean? It was it just really was matter of fact with him. He had no other way of thinking, and yet he was, well, I can't even say what he was working on. He was working on some really top stuff, and you just think, you know,
and then
how are we ever going to change if he can't break out of that mold?
No, and then there's people like myself, but then also like Greg Braden and people like them who run the Gaia channel, I think.
Oh yes, yeah.
And he's kind of come from that way of things, and he's gone more towards the spiritual side. So there are like scientists out there who are going down that route, because like I've read one of his books, I can't remember what it's called, but he's taken something codes, he's gone through like the Bible and then recognized that there's codes within there that had future predictions.
And they mentioned celestial beings, the Atlas
Yes.
Samoyeds, or the leftover from the Anakai and stuff. They're all
Exactly
in there.
that.
Yeah.
So it is getting out there. It's just like, oh, hang on,
John's back.
John's back. He's done a run.
He's just said that you and me,
Right.
talking about spirituality and science,
Yeah.
like this, from the spirituality side, and
Yeah.
commenting on it and putting it out there, and putting it out into science community when we get a chance into groups, because I've actually joined some quantum groups on Facebook,
Okay.
dropping stuff in there.
Sharon's one step
haven't
ahead
been-
of me, thank God.
I haven't been banned yet, so that's okay. And waiting for it. And that we will bring it in from the spirituality side, because they'll start to go, what are these people talking about? And they'll start to look into what we're doing from the spirit. So the science people, some will go, so they could see something we've written, listen to a podcast and go, oh, hang on a minute, what's this? And it could be the ignition for them.
Oh, see, because guys, for me, this is like clarity, because I've been questioning my work and like how to put it out. And I know that I get stuck in my own head sometimes. And then things like this happen, and it just gives me validation of where I'm actually going, and just do it.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Balls are still, as somebody told me the other week.
That's exactly. So like the good thing is, like, because Sharon and I are like totally opposite how we work at the minute. So like I'm learning from Sharon that because I'm literally a processor, so I want to process things and then connect all the dots and put it together and that kind of thing. And that's all well and good, like doing my books and stuff like that. But when it actually comes to putting things out, I go around in a loop sometimes, and then it takes something from the outside, because it's called inertia.
But I used to be like that.
Do that.
I used to be like that.
Yeah. So it's cool. So Sharon's like a future version of me, really.
Yeah. It's only because John turned up and said, give it all over and just don't worry about it. And that was it.
I could say, tell John, but like, John, that's what I've been doing. I write it in my diary. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so like back to like whole science meets spirituality. So like, yeah, so like within the spirology concept that, you know, I've created, science does come into it, because neuroscience is fascinating. Like for me, since last year, and learning around MBIT and like how going from NLP, whereas that's been all around mindset and neural pathways within the human brain, the neural pathways goes all the way through the body, like from your gut to your heart to your brain, which is carried up through the nervous system as well, which is why when medication is given to people, it generally starts in the stomach, because that's where chemicals are created and produced, and they go up into the brain. And so that's
a healthy gut's a healthy body and mind.
Yeah, exactly that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when I wrote this article, I think the basis of what this said is a bit like when we embark on this next evolutionary phase, a remarkable transformation will I'm reading this, by the way, will unfold, elevating the earth to a higher vibrational state. So as soon as the scientists acknowledge what we're about, and the government knows about these beings, and the scientists coming on board, it won't be hidden anymore. It'll all come out into the open.
But, oh, go on. I'll add it later.
This pivotal moment will witness the convergence of science and spirituality, birthing a new reality steeped in truth. No longer will you be left to ponder the old age question: if a leaf falls in the forest and no one witnesses it, did it truly happen? Instead, your minds, physical bodies, and ethereal being will harmonize with the world around you, enabling you to perceive and comprehend such occurrences without actually being there. As the leaf gracefully descends, it finds solace upon the forest floor, tangible and within your grasp. You better touch it, smell it, blah blah blah. This heightened awareness, I'm just cutting out a few lines, this heightened awareness will transcend the confines of linear time.
Yes.
Because as you ascend into the fourth and fifth dimensions, time alters, granting you the ability to perceive beyond fleeting moments.
And can I just add before you go on from that? So, like, people who resonate with ADHD, because they're already elevated in their brain frequency.
Oh yeah,
the time concept
is different,
is already out, and that's what I'm learning now. Is if I don't have timers and stuff, then my whole day can just pass by.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's like. We will be stepping out of that linear time frame.
Yeah.
The conscious minds will forge telepathic connections. That's when we become more telepathic, and that's why the trance work at the moment is important with humanity, because that's building that link and the channeling. And we'll start to experience the quantum vibrations of intelligence and this profound union. The earth will unveil its old held secrets, which are starting to come to the surface now, and including ancient civilizations, revealing its rich history and the undeniable truths of the past within the realm of the quantum evolution. And as we embark on this journey, a transformation awaits us. Human senses will undergo profound elevation, granting you enhanced connection and a newfound perception of the world around you.
Which is where, so like moving forwards, like the telepathy part of our brains is opening up because it's expanding, and also eventually like the telekinesis part will come in as well.
There's also built into us in our 3D reality, because we, as you said earlier, we are all born aware of who we are, and then we sort of shut down as we're born. Some of us could well be a deep set fear, not even from this reality, from another past or ethereal past, that we feel safely cocooned in this 3D world. We don't want to actually break out of it, no matter what we're experiencing, because we actually fear what's beyond it,
because it's the unknown, and that's generally like one of the biggest human fears, let alone like people that are more around like the autism, Asperger's and different things like that are more susceptible to not liking, and that's why they like routine and different things, and until you learn and you can change it, because ultimately your mindset is what's the word like neuroplasticity. So like when you make deep changes at a core level in your unconscious, subconscious, you actually rewire and reprogram yourself to learn new ways and new skills and new things. So from that point of view, some of the ways that we're taught around like neurodiversities and stuff are a bit out of date, because I believe that like we can evolve up from there.
So John came back then where you were talking.
Oh God, John.
He said that we use the word scientists, we're talking about psychologists and doctors, and there's quite a mass picture of this. They said that the governments who are quite well ahead have a higher understanding of this than is shown in our daily life, and they are actually working with humans who are elevated and telepathic already.
Yeah, this is where I was going to go.
Behind closed doors, not necessary for the good of man, but actually for warfare and against other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So this is already in practice in our world, but it's not actually, you won't get it on the news basically.
No, and that's...
But one day it will come out into everyday practice.
So this is where I was going to go with it, because like the CIA already know about, is it called astral projection, where you can sit in a place. So say like on Stranger Things, yeah, so the main character, whose name is 11, and then she goes into this dark room and she puts a blindfold on it and she can shut out all the senses, and then she will project herself to be somewhere.
It's remote viewing somewhere.
That's it, remote viewing.
That's what Mary does, through me.
So they already know all of this, and they train officers within it, and they use it for warfare. But also
it needs to be used for the science side of the good of humanity.
Yeah, which is where
they know how it can help humanity.
But like I had a reading a couple of weeks ago, and then through that reading came information that that's possibly what I'll be doing down the line, and I'm not sure where that's going to go yet, so that's kind of going to be interesting. Wow. But then on the side where you say like our governments know stuff, like I've written in my Spirology Heroes Journey book around parts of the CERN group. So that's not just like the particle collider, and there's like a part, it's called the Atlas part of the collider, which is a new part of it. What some of mainstream don't know and understand is that they've already found out a way to do time travel, and that they've put people through these, I don't know what you want to call them, time spaces and different things. Yeah. And because they are human, they're not able to cope with the travel and then coming back. So they're coming back disorientated, but also where they've done experiments like that, it's shifted our reality and changed things in that aspect. So like that's not a good thing or as experiment, but that's, like you said, that's the other side of things, whereas we're more towards like, you know, like the whole good of humanity.
It's a bit like the way Mary working now in the quantum trance healing. She can go back down a timeline and connect with a past life and actually have communication with that individual, because they exist in, we understand time as a line. She's looping in a circle, she's looping back to something, looping back to here. So that in reality we think that person is dead, but actually in the multiverse timelines you could go to that timeline and think you're in existence. So there's thousands, millions of them. It's like, it's way beyond our comprehension, and that is the core of the quantum knowledge of the universe. When we say the quantum domain, all the knowledge comes from these multiverse timelines, and the elevated beings can tap into this knowledge pot of the universe, the astric records, the book of lives, whatever you want to call it, and tap into what you need for your life and the greater good. And that's how your soul plan comes about. That's how what they tap into to get the information needed for a life that's going to have these events in it. So they look for another life on a timeline. They tap into their mind. They go, right, we want this, this, and this. Out it's drawn, down it goes. Right, how long do we need? But going back to the science and the spirituality blending for humanity, saying that we do know that things are going on, but this will eventually be used for the good of humanity, because people like you and me will ascend to the points, or future generations, where they won't be able to stop the collective ascending, because at the moment they're choosing who the collective is.
Exactly.
But we will as a collective, and they won't be able to stop it. It will just go.
No, but then they do have their place in our ascension, because if you don't have like the polar opposites, then that's where the like contrast of the soul growth comes from. And that's what we choose to do when we come here, which is crazy.
So the future of humanity is based on science and spirituality, getting together, learning from each other, things will change dramatically, but that is the way it's going to go. And the quantum era is the trigger of that journey.
Yeah, and what did you say that the generations coming through, was it the diamond,
platinum, and titanium?
That's it.
And the next, they're already here.
Yeah.
Mary's higher self of who she was has come back as one of those. So you've got the next level, and you're talking really highly elevated. The time they become adult, all we've been talking about will be in the public eye, and humanity will be on a massive ascension state of being by them.
And that's like why.
And all of those that are not going with that ascension will fall by the side. So that could be through war, whatever.
And then that's why.
What's left to be.
Because that's why essentially these people know they can use like technology to look down the line and different things like that. But because they're disconnected from their heart center, they can't naturally see. So they know that they're in trouble. And that's why they're trying to hold on and pull people back. But like you said, it's not going to work.
I've been having this experience since I've been working with Mary, because I've always been given the impression I'm in trance and it's her doing it, which it has been.
Yeah.
But I've found myself a couple of times now sitting, and I find that I think of a date and I go forward and I see the reality that's there. That's what Nostradamus used to do.
Oh my God.
So that's how they used to make his predictions. From that moment in time, you go forward, and I had a date. I did it the other day. I had a date come in my head, and I could see what the earth looked like. What was it like? But it was a fleeting few seconds, and then I was back again.
Oh my God, no, you're saying that because someone said to me, don't be scared when you have these things. Well, I've already had that happen to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was at the time, so it kind of traumatized me a bit.
Yeah, I was a bit shocked when it happened, to be honest, because I didn't think I could do it. And then you got to think, was that me, or was I daydreaming?
Yeah, exactly. And then I'd had a glimpse of a possible event in a future timeline, and I was like, oh, okay. Didn't know what that was, or what the hell. So I don't know that I've already...
I think what we've got to watch as a human race is we're going to develop this telepathic link. It's developing already. We can remotely go forward in past or present.
Yeah.
And what we've got to be careful of, that's what we're seeing in the future isn't necessarily the future, because it's from that moment we connect. And you could try that same date again in 6 months and see something slightly different.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Nostradamus and other people that have predicted similar events but been on different years, different timelines, or they haven't come true, it's because it's all been from different moments in time. So I think the science will get involved in all of this as well, but it's already involved. It's just we don't know about it.
Very exciting though.
So shall we conclude? That nutty revelation. I've been going off into the future. I really feel that if I dedicated myself to doing it, I could do it. But it's just like, do I want to go down that route? I don't know.
No, I know. I
don't really feel I do.
Self-realisation a minute there, but that's for another conversation. But there is one thing I want to add to that though before we do end. Is my perspective around like anxiety and depression is literally where people go down on their timelines, and you're either in the past somewhere in your thoughts, or in the future. But then there's people like myself who are like my higher self is a Blu-ray, and you can be in those times all in one go. So like learning to ground and balance yourself out is very important when we're going through these transitions. And
I'm repeating it again to you, mindfulness and meditation for all humans at this time is key. And I must start doing it again because I've been too busy with my books, just to balance myself and calm my mind. But that also helped with our ascension. And the whole, what did you call it when you go to the future and stuff? Remote viewing. And that. Yeah. And everything else. It's calm mind, calm person. Yeah, so we're on the we're on the pivotal. We're on that pivotal moment at that moment
And
in time.
a horizon.
Yeah, and it's, and one day it's going to, in 10 years, it could be just natural, could be stuff going on in schools where kids are doing stuff as natural, and telekinesis is going to come into it in the future, you know, manifestation of things. Yeah, it's all linked.
Because essentially what you focus on is what you create in reality.
So
anyway.
it would come out of the labs, it would come out of the secrecy, it would come out of the governments, because it would become part of our everyday lives, like computers and phones and have.
Yeah, because they're going quantum too.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
there we go.
Well, I don't like you, I'm going to elevate you. Hang on a minute. All the weapons are gone, it'd be elevating. Sorry, I just got always take it down to basics. That's my 3D reality kicking in. Come back down, Sharon. You've been up there too long.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, that was cool.
Yeah.
Well, we always think it's great, don't we? You must buy Amanda's book, Spirology: A Hero's Journey, guys, on Amazon, which she's been talking about today, which is brilliant.
Cool. Yeah, and if you want to get in touch with us and work with us, maybe in a private session, or have questions around what we do. So for me, Amanda, my website is amandabowden.co.uk, and you can email me on amandabowden222@gmail.com.
And I'm Sharon at bengalrose.uk, or I'm just about to launch my new website, Quantum Trance Healing. So that's .co.uk.
Yeah.
So yeah, look out for that, guys. If you want a trance session, healing session, going into past lives, higher selves, guides, and whatever else comes forward.
We'll be going into more detail into the next couple of episodes.
Yes, we will
this
do.
Season anyway. So.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. Take care, all. See you next time round. Bye.